Greetings everyone, I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion, as you can tell from the title up there. Continuing my trek through the episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond, one season and one episode at a time. We're at episode 19 of season 7, Sleepover at Peggy's. Now before I get too far into it, I just want to apologize for the fact this video is later than I thought it would be. As you've seen, if you looked at my community comments, I've been having issues with webcam recording. And as of now, it looks like it's the default app on my Asus computer, just not one to cooperate when it comes to video. For pictures, it's fine. It's just video. It does a timeout error. I've been trying to find out what the issue is, and it just seems no matter what with that default app, it doesn't want to work. And I've already tried multiple cameras. Like this right here was a camera I've mainly been using, and I thought maybe it finally died. But then the one I'm recording this on, it was fine with pictures as well, but then it kept timing out. So I had to go and find another app that I can record with, because it wouldn't let me record some of the other app stuff that I already had on the computer. So I went to UCam, and I'm recording this on there, so hopefully this all picks up nice. But it is what it is. So once again, Sleepover at Peggy's. As that title tells you, we got another appearance from Peggy the Cookie Lady, played once again by Amy Aquino, which I believe after this she has at least one more appearance. I think the next season, and she might end season 9, to show you how much I remember about season 9. And of course, this is written by Joe Rubin and George P. White III, who we've seen them at least once before. They wrote another episode. I believe this is their last one. I don't got my notes in front of me because they didn't save. And this continues the filler little moments going forward to the wedding episode, and this is a pretty good filler moment. Now, the genesis is Allie is going to go spend the night at her friend Molly, of course played by Ray's real-life daughter, Allie's namesake. I always love throwing that out there. And even though it's been a couple years since him and Peggy had their little tiff in front of Marco's Pizza, it's still there. Now, the main reason that Ray is the one who's taking Allie over to Molly's is because Deborah is sick, too sick to drive, and although Ray tries to get out of it, like, oh, how good of a friend is Molly? Like, really, Ray? You gonna go there? Mas puto. And he drives her over there. He's trying to avoid Peggy as much as he can. Like, first he's gonna leave after knocking on a door, but then Allie's like, yeah, my sleeping bag. And of course, Peggy opens, and you can tell there's a little bit of tension there from the cookie thing. It looks like they're going to part, but then Molly mentions, like, hey, maybe Mr. Barone can get the tent figured out. And of course, Ray's not going to do it at first, like, yeah, Nat. But in the moment that Peggy questions his intelligence with the comment, like, hey, if I can't do it, then Mr. Barone surely can't do it. Ray's like, uh-huh. So he goes in, looks at the tent, and then with a single move, does it. Now, of course, you know Ray's really going to gloat with this, and the line that really sells this moment is like, hey, maybe I should get a merit badge. Now, what really drives home a lot of the humor in this episode is during the whole thing when she congratulates him, she gives him a little pat on the backside. Now, it's one of those ones that if in sports, you'd kind of get the whole thing of it, which I think that's one of the reasons why Ray's like, what the hell did that mean? And you can tell right afterwards, Ray's like, what? And Ray quickly tries to get out of there. He heads back to his house, where Robert and Gianni are still watching the game, and he puts it by them. And being his friends and his brother, you can imagine how Robert and Gianni really do play with it. And part of it is, they're like, well, how'd it go? And Ray's trying to show what he was doing and how it happened. And I love the bloopers for this moment, like the first time when Ray's trying to show him how he was standing, Brad goes, who's your daddy? That's what I love about that, is that when they have an opportunity for a joke, even though they know it's not going to stay in the episode, but to keep the energy of the crowd up, they'll do it. Especially since, you know, Brad is also a comedian like Ray, so he's not going to waste that opportunity. There's a couple others, but that's the main one. Now, they don't see it at first, but then after a moment they're like, oh yeah. And they royally tease the crap out of Ray, like, yeah, I don't need to go. Well, then Deborah comes down to get her medicine that Ray was going to pick up and tells him, yeah, you got to go back. It looks like Molly and Allie had a fight and Allie wants to come home. Of course, you can already guess where they're going to go with the jokes with this, Gianni and Robert. They're really roasting the crap out of Ray when it comes to that. And Ray does go there. By the time he gets there, the kids have made up and they're actually now sleeping in the basement instead of in the tent. And Ray and Peggy do have a conversation after a couple little moments. Ray mentions it because during the conversation with Robert and Gianni, they mentioned that, hey, maybe she wants you. You know, the moment you stick your caboose in the air in the animal kingdom, that's as good as a marriage proposal. Ray brings it up to Peggy, and she laughs it off and then starts crying. Because in the course of this episode, we find out she is divorced, which that's a piece of information that the moment we hear it, we're just like, Ray, like, oh, no surprise. Now, Peggy and Ray do have a little bit of a heart-to-heart where they're talking here. We find out that her husband was a piece of work, and that's putting it nicely. I would say he was really a royal misogynist based on how she describes him, or any type of thing she would do, he would not praise her. And then basically, yeah, that's a good job, Toots. Like, yeah, that sounds like a misogynist to me. And even though Ray and his family do have a little bit of their moments throughout the show, he sounds like the real rolling nutcase this act. So you can understand why Peggy is, in her words, threw him out eventually. And you can also from that understand why she is a little bit the way she is. Does not excuse like how we saw she was in the cookie episode, but you can at least understand it. So nice showing her a little bit of depth and nice little moment there. Which of course is ruined by Marie entering the picture. And it's when they're going to go close up the tent and she thinks it's going to crawl, that they're crawling into the tent for some cookies. And it's a nice little moment, and of course it goes into the epilogue where Ray keeps trying to say, we weren't going in there. And of course leads to Marie having one of the lines of the episodes, her line in the episode, a woman doesn't get a man into a tent unless she's going in after him. And with that I'm like, Marie, what campgrounds have you been going to? Because that's not an absolute, that sounds more like you just trying to be an overprotective mother. But of course it leads to her doing her usual comments in a way, which freak out Ray and he leaves, and then she's like, well, he'll never do that again. Nice little way to end the episode. So nice little moment, continues a lot of the humor going between Peggy and Ray. We get that nice little tender moment, and like I mentioned at the top and in a couple other episodes, it's a nice little filler moment so that we don't have to do every episode about the wedding in one regard. And a little bit of trivia, this is the final of 4 episodes that Peter Boyle doesn't appear in. The last couple are, of course, from Season 3. We had Working Girl, Dancing with Deborah, and How They Met. And those ones were, of course, due to his heart attack on set. This one, no idea. Doesn't really state, so it could be they just didn't have a way to figure him into the episode. Maybe he wanted a week off for family. Other thing. Other than that, there's not really much else to say about this episode, and I am sorry if there's not like a lot more comments on individual moments or whatnot, but the whole camera issue. And the next couple episodes, hopefully I'll have a little bit more to talk about, especially the next week's episode, or episode you'll see in a couple days, depending on how I decide to upload this. That's probably how I'll do it. We're going to get the appearance of a character that's been much talked about, but has yet to be seen, and this is her only appearance. That's right, we're finally going to get to see Harriet Lickman in the next episode, where, keeping on the wedding theme, even if it's not building towards Robert and Amy's wedding directly, talking about, like, if we were to die, who would you want to replace us? Till then, guys.